Whew, okay, there we go. Good afternoon and welcome to the Office of Special Education Services information session for special education. Today is September 2nd, and we are going to get started with our agenda. First up is Peter Quaipe talking to us about, we've had a lot of memos and guidance come out from the agency, and he's going to help us kind of weed through those and talk about them. Katie Heiss has Ed Plan SC updates. Sherry Evans is not here today, but I will, she asked me to pass along some early childhood reminders, and I have a resource page for educational interpreters. I'll just direct you to that, easy enough. And then from SC Teams, we have updates from the Academic Alliance and our SC Partnerships for Inclusion. So Peter, you're up first.
All right, if you could advance the slide one more. So I just wanted to point out some memos that have gone out. These are from the agency. They're not special education memos. They weren't from OSIS, but they're just things that I think would be of interest to special education directors. These memos, they go out every Tuesday. And, you know, I'm never sure at the district level whether this information gets passed on or the memos get passed on. So I just wanted to point some out to you guys, and also just to let you know where you can find the district memorandum archive. It's definitely a place to visit on a regular basis. So how do you get to the state memos? It's DEEMS, the DEEMS system. And there's roles. So your district designates the person in each role. So your chief academic officer, your superintendent, your special ed director, those are all in DEEMS. But as they're distributed, I understand they go to the group, but a lot of times they're directed at specific roles. So I'll show you a few of the memos where they're directed at specific roles. And so I just wanted to make sure that you guys were seeing these and where to go to. So I'm gonna these are there's 5 memos that came out on August 19th and 26th. They come out every Tuesday, and they tend to be posted by the following Tuesday. So this week's just comes out today on the 2nd, and then you'll probably see them on the website by the 9th. But these were ones that came out previously, and just to add some information. Like I said, they're not special ed memos. They're not directed at special ed directors, but they have some interesting information. So I'm gonna show you where that archive is, because you can just look at it. So here's the home page for the South Carolina Department of Education, and it's got, you know, the mission visions. But if you look under news and you go to District Memorandum Archive and click on that, you can search. You can perform a word search, or you can search by month. So it's got the archive. You can click on the archive by month down here, or you can enter keywords and search that way. There were a few that came out recently. So this one came out on the 19th. Let me see if I can make this bigger. So this, as you can see, went to superintendents and instructional leaders and principals and district math coordinators. But it was interesting because it talks about the Modern Classrooms project to support mathematics instruction, and it gives some resources as far as things that are available on the South Carolina Instruction Hub, and then also talks about some of the upcoming deliverables. So it's also got some video modules and curriculum maps, and it talks about the upcoming deliverables with respect to, you know, Algebra 2 and reasoning and mathematics, applications and modeling. I just want to make sure that special education teachers are getting this information as well, so that they can obviously have access to the resources. And so that's why I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of it. But it just lays out some of the pieces of that. Along with that, there's a really interesting one that we'll be getting more information on. This was just kind of a preliminary notice memorandum that talks about this Zern Learning, which will be an additional resource for teaching math. And it's going to be a supplemental resource, and that I think is, from what I've heard, we're gaining more information on it in our office too, but it should be a really good resource for supplementing the instruction that's being provided. It's got a flexible design, and like it says in here, it can be used for targeted intervention, individualized tutoring, and supplemental summer learning as well. So, and we think it could also be used in designing specially designed instruction. This is, like I said, a new platform that the state has purchased, that districts will have access to if it's not mandatory, but for special ed or anything. But it could have a lot of resources that your teachers could utilize. There's going to be live webinars coming up. The first one is tomorrow. And then it's some webinars on some subsequent Mondays, as you can see, on September 8th, September 22nd, and October 2nd. There also is a website, Zern Math in South Carolina, as well. All right. So there was also a memo that went out that just, and I think this is one just to be aware of for scheduling purposes, is that it does provide an update on the testing days for SC Ready for ELA and math, and just summarizes, the length of these assessments for the upcoming testing year. So that would be 2026, spring of 2026. So I know you guys always kind of work around those schedules and have to be aware of them as the year comes to a close and those testing begins, just to arrange your calendars and your services. So just be aware these are the SC Ready, ELA, and math testing administrations, and then length of days for each. So the other one is it went out to district personnel administrators and to Title I coordinators, because it's the requirements for paraprofessionals that work at Title I schools. And as you know, there's minimum qualifications for paraprofessionals in those settings, in those schools. And they were using previously a test, Parapro, and now they're going to switch to Parapathways. So that is a new test. It also, but they're also making available some materials and resources for test prep for Parapathways. So it's got a test at a glance and a preliminary draft of that. So, and it provides the cut scores for what will be the passing scores for each area of the Parapathways. And this will apply to those candidates that begin on September 1st, 2025. So it just went into effect. So I did want to make you guys aware of that change in test. So it's really not a change in requirement. It's just a different assessment tool is being used. There's also a memo on regional support that went out to superintendents, and it should have gone out to special ed folks, so you should have gotten this one. But there's the MTSS regional support, and it gives the dates and locations for the various sessions around the state. So that was another one to be aware of. So this was, like I said, all of these were in the either the 19th or the 26th And once again, you can find these. One quick way to do it is to go into August, and you'll see those arranged by date, and you'll see the 26th, the memorandums from August 26th on top, and then you'll see the 19th right below it. So you can get to all of those and others if you're interested in other memos as well. All right, if you could go back to the slide, Sarah. And the other one was just a reminder of documents we've put up. I'm not going to go over them, but we did release a SLT guide, and there's a link to that up there, and that would be on the OSIS webpage. Also, the restraint and seclusion guidance was issued last school year, along with a quick reference guide. So I just wanted to remind you of those resources, and we'll continue to build upon those and provide guidance in the days to come.
Thank you, Peter. I will let you know in the comments, one person asked how to sign up for them, but then Tracy commented that you don't have to be in Deems to get the memos. You can go to send an email to, excuse me, to communications@listserv.ed.sc.gov, and that'll sign you up.
Great. Thank you, Tracy.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, Peter. Okay. Next. Oops. Okay, Katie Heiss. Katie, I'll move this side.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I don't have too much today. Just a reminder that there is an evaluators webinar coming up on Tuesday, September 16th. And we also had a couple requests for doing like a FIBA-BIP webinar. That would be like EdPlan SC and content, not just like how to do it in the system, but more content. And so we are working towards getting that set up as well. But for right now, the evaluators one is coming up, and then Sarah, go ahead to the next slide. We also are doing a community stakeholder overview session. We did them last year as well. So we did one. We did one recently in person. We didn't have that many people showed up, but it was.
I thought they were going to talk about. We're supposed to be getting single sign-on for.
Sorry, I'm going to talk about single sign-on soon.
Oh.
Okay, I get easily distracted here. So with this September 16th, this is just going to be a virtual one. We have about 45 different people from different organizations across the state signed up. We just basically are taking them through a walkthrough of the IEP so they know where information is, how the PAWN populates, what a meeting notice looks like, all those pieces. All right, Sarah, go ahead. All right, SSO. So we currently, this is our current status, right? We have 26 districts that are currently utilizing SSO. And when I'm talking about SSO, I'm talking about single sign-on. And so you might have referred to it as ClassLink. Some of you might have used Clever. And so ClassLink is like the local product that your district had purchased, and then the state purchased what we're calling StateLink. So like that's their product is StateLink, and then we've called it SC Learn. So those words are kind of like together, right? Like ClassLink, because some people are calling it ClassLink still because they aren't calling it StateLink because they've always called it ClassLink. So tomato. So if you are talking about like SC Learn, StateLink, and ClassLink, to me, it's kind of all of the same thing. It just means single sign-on, and single sign-on means that you won't have to use the MFA anymore, that multi-factor authentication, where you're using your original link that was sent out to access EdPlan, and you're getting that code. And so we've got 26 districts that have gone to that. And then Wednesday, September 10th, we're doing another large push. So I sent out emails about going on September 10th, and I've had several districts reach out that say, we're not there yet, and that's fine. Like, if you're not ready, you tell me. I'm not ready, Katie. And then I'm going to say, okay, great. You tell me when you're ready. And then we're going to do what you need to do to get ready to make sure that when you wake up on September 10th, you know, you're not you're not able to access EdPlan. So we do have some districts that are not going on September 10th. You might be one of them if you're listening. If you're not sure, email me. If you're like, I'm sitting here going, this is the first time I've heard of this, we're not ready, make sure you contact me, because I have a list of who's reached out to say we need a little more time, whether they haven't fully integrated. So what I want happening, right, is that your district is fully using StateLink SC Learn to access all the other apps like the instructional hub. And then we're putting EdPlan there so people are familiar with it so that when they go to EdPlan, it's a smooth transition for them. But I've been hearing from districts that like some of the leadership doesn't have access to that. It's like just the teachers. And so we need to make sure your power users have access to StateLink because they need to be able to access EdPlan SC. So if you're not prepared, reach out, let me know. And so some of you are going on September 10th, and then some of you will be going at a later date. And so, but I'll work that out with districts individually. Okay, any questions about SSO? Okay, if you have them, email me and we will work it out. So basically what's going to happen is that week of September 10th, ClassLink, the company is going to deploy, what I'm calling deploy, the app to the SC Learn StateLink, wherever you're accessing those apps. And then Nick from PCG, we all know Nick, he's going to be running a file that's going to change your user status from local account to that Connect ID. When he flips that file, then not everyone, those people that are going on September 10th, they will do that. So I will get with you, Tania, on that. I'll look and see.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, Katie, that was what you just answered, is that question about when,
Yep.
how do you know? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I'll email. I have to look. I don't know everybody off the top of my head. I know some, but I don't know where everybody's at. So next slide, because we're going to move on from SSO and we're going to talk about those enriched historical documents. So I have 31 responses. Your responses are not due until October 31st. So if you're still sitting on it and thinking about it, that's fine. I'm just letting you know where we're at. And so I wanted to clarify because I had a couple districts reach out that they were afraid that when the files got pushed into EdPlan, it would mess something up. Nothing's being put into EdPlan. So the data files are not going to be, migrated in like was the original plan back in the day. They're just really going to be files, and it's not a full subset of files. So like some of you have purchased your files from Enrich and from Frontline. So you got your Enrich generated and you got your attachments. This is just what we were provided and Enrich generated. So there won't be any like wet signature pages, attachments in this set of files. And so what we're looking at doing is a file drop. I'm working with Rick from SCDE, like the IT side of the house. We're going to have a couple districts test this out for us to make sure that everything goes as smoothly as possible. And so we'll be doing that in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll move on to moving more people over. Abbeville has submitted a form. I do know that off the top of my head. So with that, I can tell you that the link is here. So if you haven't, if you're not sure and you need me to look, I can look that up. And we're just going to move forward and see where we're at with this. But that's where we're at right now, is we're looking at a file drop, and that's why we needed your IT involved, because I don't think you want to have to deal with trying to figure out this file drop because it sounds very intense. And it's a lot of files. So any questions about that, how that's working? They're not going into EdPlan. It's just going to be files that you have as a backup. And I get it. I would have a backup to my backup's backup. So I get why people want them. Even if you bought them, I still want them because I would hoard all the records. So we get that. That's why we offered, is because we did have this information. Again, we didn't know what we were going to get initially. All right. And then Sarah, you can stay here. I just want to bring something up. This is like new news. So we met today, and Carolyn's on the call as well. And so what we wanted to talk about really quick is we met earlier with PCG today. So there's no slide for this because my slides were already turned in before this meeting. And so looking at those students that had exited, graduated, and we've been talking about how we're working on that solution. So the solution was tested over the weekend. It's going to be done in phases. There's going to be 2 phases. So the first phase will begin Friday night. So you'll see students starting September 6th on that Saturday or Monday when you get back in to the office. You'll see students inactivated. And then on phase 2 will be Friday night, September 12th. So again, on Saturday morning is when you would see those students. Those students will be those non-serve students that'll be removed with an exit reason of withdrawn and unknown. And so Carolyn will push out some updates about table 4. But that's where we're at right now with that information. So just wanted to give you that. More to come, more like in writing, emails and updates with that. But while we had you on the call, we wanted to provide you that information, that because we know you've been wanting them out of your system, and we understand that. So 2 phases. The first one will be this Friday. So you'll see a big change in your students on Saturday morning, and then another phase to get the remaining students pushed out will happen on September 12th. And that is all I have for today. If you have questions, you can always email me, and we'll go from there. So those are the 2 big things that right now is the, well, there's 3 with the exited data, the historical documentation, and SSO. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great evening.
Thanks, Katie. It's always a lot of information. And like you said, it changes fast. So Sherry Evans asked that we share this information with you, that if necessary, please update your BabyNet contact and Child Find contact in DEEMS. In some cases, well, 2 things. First of all, you might be the person who changes things in DEEMS, but you also might not be the person. It might be your IT person. So you'll have to find that out if you don't already know that. But then also you may or may not be the BabyNet contact or Child Find contact. A lot of things change over the summer, so please make sure those things are updated in DEEMS. And you saw in the beginning, as Peter was saying, that's how it's chosen, how those memos go out, is they go in there and they say, oh, everybody who's on the BabyNet contact list gets this memo, and they pull all those contacts out. So they want everything in DEEMS to be accurate. And the same would stand true for your special ed. You have the special ed director, and then who's your secondary contact. And we pull things for that in DEEMS, from DEEMS. Some educational some resources for the educational interpreters. It's going to be posted. It's not there just yet, but it will be soon on the educational interpreters website webpage under OSIS. Right now, that page can be found in your Google Resources folder. And next up, we have the Academic Alliance of South Carolina.
Thanks, Sarah. I'll try to speak quickly, but just a couple of reminders about things coming up. And this is just a great opportunity for you to invite a friend to the MTSS Summit. This is the information that we're bringing in from these national and international leaders is for not just special education, but also general education, but really targeting on improving outcomes for students with disabilities. So thinking about those schools that you have that are ATSI, instructional coaches that should also be working with our special education teachers in buildings. There's not enough special ed people to go around. And then if you have lead general and special education teachers that can be models for demonstration. Our first MTSS Summit is September 10th. If you'll go back just 1 minute, and you can get registration information there. And then that is UDL. And we actually had requests from ATSI schools, so please make sure this gets shared. That was one of the things we heard, that people were interested in building that framework. And so this is a great opportunity. There will be follow-up with this through some virtual webinars, but also Dr. Lowry is going to provide some materials that schools can use for coaching teachers and also for implementation. So there's registration information there. Next slide. Very quickly, this is just our events for September. We've got several, and I would just encourage you to look at our communities of practice and also our evidence-based practice network that is on September 17th. These are great opportunities For professional learning, I know so many of you are in smaller districts where maybe your special education teachers don't have a lot of things that are geared for them. So this is a great opportunity for them. And these are our fall dates coming up. I am going to put in the chat our evidence-based practice network schedule. This is a flyer that you can actually download and share it for the up through December. We've got some great things coming up. I'm excited to be working on the text-dependent writing because that's addresses our standards, but also can be used across all content levels, at all contents, at all levels. Trying to talk too fast. So you see all the great opportunities that we have. We hope you'll join us. Sarah, I think that's it. And always remember, our calendar is your one-stop shop where all our events are listed. Gotta have that one. Be cool and get the news. If you're not getting our newsletter coming out this afternoon, not too late to sign up. Once a month. We promise it's no more than that.
Thank you, Susan. That's perfect. Okay, next up is Skippy.
Thanks, Sarah. So we're going to keep it short and sweet too. What we want to share with you is just a reminder about our conference. Our 2025 South Carolina Early Childhood Inclusion Conference is going to be held on September 25th at R2I2. Our theme is Keys to Unlocking Potential. And so we have some focuses, or we're focusing on some areas such as instructional practices, behavior and positive supports, supporting literacy and language development, building family and community partnerships, and data policy and systems. And so you can check our schedule on our website. I'm going to add that link to the chat. And also our registration will be closing on 9/15/25. We will not be able to register anybody on site. So please, please, please come join us. We'd love to have you there. And that is all that Skippy has for today.
Thank you, Melissa. And our last bit of information is just to remind you, we're meeting again in 2 weeks on September 16th. And we will have Wyatt Cawthrain, the Assistant Director of ORDA, the Office of Records and Data Analysis, to talk to us about the GPS system. All right, we look forward to seeing you all then. There's lots of links that have been added to the chat, so please take a moment to go back and look. And the links you may have missed in the beginning were to the PowerPoint, so I just added that, and then also, but the PowerPoint has the link to the educational interpreter resources, so I'll add that in here too. All right, have a wonderful day and thank you.